Hello there. Welcome to this week's first live stream. I'm Father Roderick, and you can follow me on Facebook, on Twitch, or on my YouTube channel. And this week, I'm going to have another 5 live streams, hopefully. Today is Lego themed. It's Monday, so kind of ease into it. This is for me a way to keep building this particular modular building. It's a Disney costume shop. If you've watched previous episodes, you know that it is based on the Disney castle, but it's completely rebuilt, and it will turn into a very nice 3-story building where you can, if you are part of the Lego community, buy your Disney themed costumes. So I'm really looking forward to continuing that. I did some prep. I've got all the bricks that I need for the next couple of steps here on my left, on your right. Tomorrow we're going to have another Star Wars themed live stream where I will review the first 4 episodes, I should say, of the second season of The Bad Batch, Star Wars The Bad Batch. And we may also talk about some Star Wars news. On Wednesday, I take you to my kitchen. That was a fun session last week where I cooked. I cooked my dinner, and you you were watching and we were chatting. It was a lot of fun. On Thursday, we'll talk about anime, and on Friday, it is more or less book themed. It's also kind of a wrap up live stream. So if I need to record another podcast because I haven't had time, then that's usually the hour that I do that. So welcome. If you're new, introduce yourself in the chat room. Love to hear where you're from, what the weather is like, what time it is, what you do in your day-to-day life. If you like Lego, what's the last Lego set that you built? And while you're at it, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Father Roderick, because I won't always be streaming on Facebook or on Twitch, but I will always do updates on my YouTube channel. So that's youtube.com/Father Roderick. All right, let's get to work. It's good to see Mike and Michiel, and Maria is there as well. Steven is there. Craig from Pennsylvania, asking if I enjoyed the 13th Doctor's last episode. You know what? I haven't watched any Doctor Who for 2 years because it's not available in the Netherlands. It's nowhere. So none of the streaming platforms have it. I'm looking forward to Disney finally putting that on their Disney Plus channel. That's only going to be, I think, towards the end of this year. So yeah, I haven't even seen the female Doctor, nothing. And that's sad because I'm a huge Doctor Who fan, but there is just no way to watch it. Let me see. Let me get my instructions here. So I've got the instructions on my iPad in the form of a PDF. And we are going to continue working on the back entrance, or like doorway, that is here in the back. So let me show you what it will ultimately... Oh, wait a minute. No, that's not true. I thought I had like an overall picture of what it will look like, but that's another build based on the London Bridge, which is also a huge set. I bought it secondhand 3 years ago, and I'm not that interested in building the bridge, but I am interested in building the archaeology museum, which is also a modified version made with those bricks. But that's for later. Let's first make sure that we finish this this Disney set. Oh. Already making a mistake. Let me turn that into the exact same position. Oh, this is a staircase, of course. There we go. Good morning, Kathleen and Jeff and Sandy. Always nice to see you all. We are at step number 96, in case you're wondering. I hope everybody had a restful weekend. Oh, that goes here. For me, weekends are always extra busy because I have my parish duties, and it's also usually the only day in the week that I can do long runs. So I went for a lot. Well, actually, I ran a half marathon yesterday, but since I have mass in the morning and then need to take lunch, etc., usually I can only start running in the kind of mid-afternoon, and because it's such a long distance, I only return home in the evening when it's already dark. So there's not much left of the weekend after that, unfortunately. And so on Mondays, I'm always super tired. That is why I'm not making any content today. I'm just building some Lego. And then we'll slowly ramp it up later this week. At least that's the plan. All right, we're slowly getting to the first floor of the building, or second floor. And then this goes here. So because I ran so much yesterday, I don't do anything in terms of physical exercise on Mondays, because recovery time and rest is just as important as the exercise itself. Although I wish I would have a little bit more energy left on Mondays. Tonight we have our monthly board meeting with the supervisory board that is helping me to run Tridio and to plan all the media activities. And I was supposed to have finished the yearly overview. So it's the annual. Actually, you would say the annual report. Everything we've done last year, and then evaluate that. But I just I didn't have the time to write it because it's a lot of work. You have to look up all the numbers and the reach, and it's just, I mean, it's not a complicated thing to write, but it has to be factually, of course, very precise. Oops. And so I wrote the board that I just couldn't do it. Which for me is actually new, that I admit that I just couldn't finish it, because normally I would have worked until midnight or beyond on Sunday to finish it. But I'm done with that. I need my sleep. I need my rest. I need my weekends. And it's not anything super. I mean, it's important that we write a report, of course, It's important for accountability, but it's not something super urgent right now. Let me see. So this is a handlebar. How do you say that? Next to a staircase, where you hold on to. Whoops. All right, let's see. We've got Allison, also there from Florida. Good to see you. And School of Rock and Roll. Do you wear that white neck piece when you go for a run? No. No, that would be suffocating. This is just my priestly attire. So that's what I normally wear, but no, when I run, it's also, I don't have pajamas with with this. Compared to superhero costumes, like Superman doesn't sleep in his cape, I hope. Although he does wear his cape when he's running. Or like, I don't know, McDonald's employee. Okay, so we put that next to the entrance, which would be here. Very well. Hello, Banjai, do I pronounce that correctly? Banjai? From Hungary. Nice. Craig says, also wanted to say thank you for continuing to make entertaining content and to inspire you to be a better person. Well, that's vice versa. The community also inspires me to be creative and to be a better version of myself. That's why it's social media. The strength is in the community. Okay, now we're going to make two pillars also next to the entrance. It saves a ton of work to have already pre-sorted all these pieces, because that took me an hour before I started this recording. I started to prepare all these steps, so I wouldn't lose time just searching for all these little bits and pieces. That's the only downside of building these modified constructions, is you're building with a set that you have deconstructed first. So it takes a lot of sorting before you can actually start building. But there's also it's also kind of part of the process. And what I do is I give myself 1 hour to sort, not more, and I listen to an audiobook while I'm sorting. So I do get some instruction, or in this case entertainment, while I'm sorting. So today I was continuing my read of The Witcher, The Last Wish, which is the first book of the Witcher series, but it's not really the first part of the big story. So it's a collection of shorter stories that introduces you to the character of the Witcher. But then I think it's Blood of the Elves. Is that the name? So the next book is going to be where the story really starts to unfold properly. So this was a bit disconcerting because I didn't know that when I started reading. And it just jumped all over the place. It's like, okay, so what? Wait, where are we now? Who are these people? And then it dawned on me that I was actually reading an anthology of stories instead of a continuous adventure. But most of these short stories are actually quite entertaining. And because they don't have to explain like the entire big picture, it's also a bit easier to read. It's obviously meant as a kind of an introduction before you get to the meat of the story. And the reason I'm reading The Witcher is because I noticed in my my app, I have a subscription to Storytel, which is what Audible is in many countries. We have Storytel, but it's unlimited. You pay a monthly fee, and then you can listen to as many audiobooks as you want. I listen to a ton of audiobooks, so it's a good deal. But I noticed that the Witcher novels are scheduled to be removed from the platform at the end of this month. And reason being issues with the publisher. That gives me about 2 weeks to read all those novels. I think there are about 5. So the next 2 weeks, I'll probably be binge reading the entire Witcher series, which is something I wanted to do anyway, so it gives me a good incentive. All right, we're going to build the walls for the second floor, or the upper floor. No, not the upper floor. And it uses these big pieces where it's just hollow on the back. So it's cheap to make, and it saves a lot of individual pieces. So it's a quick way to gain height. Okay, that one. Should take a good look at where that goes. I'd say here. And there we go. Ooh. It's really starting to look like a building on the inside. And the bigger this gets, the easier for you it is also to see what I'm doing. So now this is the back of the building. We're going to add a little bit more. Oh, this goes above the entrance. Ah, I see. So this is going to close off the staircase. Where does that go? Okay. I see. Oh, so first we do this. I haven't seen the second season of The Witcher yet. And I think, isn't there a third season that was filmed still with Cavill or Cavill? So he's going to be replaced by another actor. But yeah, I think there's going to be a third season still to come with Henry Cavill. He was supposed to go back to his Superman role, but then that got changed. unfortunately for him. Okay, and then this is just... okay, so it's interesting. It's a bit of a background here. So this is a panel that you can remove because it hides a door, so I can remove this. And you can enter here. But I don't know exactly. Maybe this is to connect it to another building. I'm not sure. Okay. Now we're going to do some more work on the pillars inside. Hey, Lissa. Good to see you. Hey, Liz. And Wispa is there too. Good afternoon. And Jennifer. I now watch reaction videos of other people watching Doctor Who, Star Wars, Harry Potter for the first time. It's like having friends. Yeah, that's funny. Yesterday I saw a wonderful video showing kids filmed by their parents, reacting to the revelation that Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father. And it was just adorable. The shock and horror. And then just the disbelief of some of these kids. It's like, no, he must be he's lying, right? Dad, he's lying? No, he's not lying. Oh my gosh. I don't remember how I discovered that Vader was Luke's father. Probably at the movie theater. I think my brother told me that he had been spoiled. My brother was probably 10. I was 12, I think, when The Empire Strikes Back came out. Maybe a little bit older. But I didn't believe it either when the revelation was done. I was shocked, but I was like, nah, that has to be a trick. And so until the Return of the Jedi came out, we weren't sure. Because of course there was no social media. There were no novels. There was nothing to fill us in on the details of this supposed fatherhood of Vader. And so nobody knew for sure. Those were the days where they could keep a secret for more than, 3 years before the sequel came out. And then I was shocked in Return of the Jedi that it was treated as a matter of fact, It was, yeah. He's my father. Like, oh, okay. So apparently there's no development of that. It's just, of course, because there was a time lapse or a time difference between the ending of Empire and then the beginning of Return of the Jedi. Don't know how much time there is between those two movies, but apparently Luke had completely accepted the news, and then later on, of course, you get to see the scene on Dagobah where he is complaining that Obi-Wan hadn't told him. And then you get the famous defense by Obi-Wan Kenobi that it was all a matter of perspective, which sounded a bit like a cop-out initially, but now that we've seen, of course, how they filled in the blanks with Obi-Wan Kenobi, I think they made it work in retrospect. Because Vader actually did kill Anakin. But, yeah. How does that work? Where am I supposed to put this? Oh, there? Okay. Wow. Okay. That's probably will be reinforced later on. Let's see some white. Hello, Nate Dogs, and PD Pal is there too. It is Lego time. If you see me reacting to some screen names that you don't see in the chat yourself, it's because some people are watching this on Facebook and on Twitch, and so I get the comments from all those platforms. But the central hub will always remain YouTube. Oh, Jennifer's been reading the audiobooks of Doctor Who. Yeah, those are great too. Petty Pal is excited about the console update for The Witcher 3. That one is actually already out. Heard it was super buggy. Yeah, it's well. A friend of mine has actually is already playing it and says, well, it's not a big deal. Works really well. It's absolutely fantastic visual upgrade, and of course they'll iron out the bugs over time. It's usually how it goes nowadays. One and two. Can't wait to put the second floor on top of this, or at least get this all a bit more solid than it is right now. But so far, even though this is a fan-designed build, it feels very much like a genuine, regular Lego set. Which is quite an accomplishment. I mean, they could sell this full price and I would buy it. All right. Next, we're going to do some sandstone stuff. Blood of the Elves is the third book. Before that and After the Last Wish is Sword of Destiny. Yes, Sword of Destiny is also a collection of short stories. Not as good as The Last Wish from what I gather from the review, so I may actually skip that. There was also another audiobook that was marked to be a prologue, but in fact it's like the 8th book that was written, and it's really not a prologue, I think. But I want to, after these short stories, I want to get into the Blood of the Elves, because that I feel like I finally need to get a grip on the overall story of The Witcher. Okay, let's first build this. That was one of the most jarring things of the television show. It wasn't told in a chronological way, but they didn't really make that clear, and so I was so confused. I still am confused. I probably will need to rewatch the entire first season because I was lost. I mean, I watched it for the action. But half of the time, I had no idea who everyone was. So the Jennifer character apparently is super important. And then also, it's high fantasy. It's part high fantasy, part mythology, like Slavic mythology. But it also changes a lot of the standard stuff that you see. Like the elves and the dwarves are there, but they're very different from what you would normally have in other fantasy stories. Okay, so I need to make 6 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 and 6. It's kind of nice to have a themed book reading week for a change. 2 of these. Or, yeah, week or month. I hope I'm going to be able to finish everything in time. I have to say that if I can't finish the Dutch version, because I'm listening to the Dutch audiobook, if I can't finish that in time, I'll probably switch to the English audiobook, because the Dutch reader is a bit bland. And the translation is extremely clunky, and it's so obvious that it's a translation. But it's a bit jarring. It's almost as if they're sticking too close to the original structure of the Polish grammar. But Polish grammar, especially in writing, is very archaic and is a bit. It doesn't really work if you translate it as is. You have to adapt it, the translation, and they didn't do that in Dutch. And then add to that a bit unengaging reader. I mean, I'm reading it at 1.5 speed, so it mitigates a little bit the slowness, but not enough. I feel like I would probably enjoy the English version much better. Of course, I haven't sampled it, so I don't know what the quality is, but downside of that, of course, is that I don't have access to the English audiobook, so I would have to get it on Amazon or something like that, which is it's more complicated. So for the time being, I'll just listen to the Dutch version. And even if the reading voice is not that good, it's usually not what I remember afterwards. It's more the story that I remember, and then most of the atmosphere is provided by the television series and the games anyway. So, yeah. Okay, we've got the upper windows there. Now we have some. Oh, wait. Okay. Let's get these. These don't have windows. Or don't have glass. That's interesting. They're the only ones without glass. Okay. Some arches. I'm also watching Star Wars Rebels. I had never finished that series, so I'm now watching season 3. And it's quite enjoyable. Depends a little bit. Some episodes are better than others. It's a bit similar to The Bad Batch in style. Same storytellers, obviously. But it does add more context to, for instance, the whole black saber thing, or the dark saber. it's explained a bit better. It came out of nowhere in The Mandalorian, and now it's like, oh, I see. Because, of course, they did Star Wars Rebels first. And there's some more elements that are introduced in Star Wars Rebels, and I missed out on. So it makes sense to watch the whole thing. It's not totally necessary to have watched it, but it does add depth. Just as the Clone Wars, of course, is pretty important for the whole Mandalore story arc. Although I'm glad that they, with the television shows, they always make sure that if you've not watched the animated series, you can still follow, which I think is a smart move, because I think a lot of people would skip the animation and the animated series thinking it's for kids, which is kind of its target audience, but not exclusively. It would be fun at one point to have the Bad Batch and Omega turn up as live action characters. Maybe they will, as they've done with Ahsoka. And of course, we're all waiting for Admiral Thrawn to make his appearance in live action. I think they did a pretty good job in Star Wars Rebels depicting him. Hello, Evo. Jennifer moved over to the YouTube stream. That's cool. When will the next cooking stream be? It's going to be on Wednesday. Will I be posting the groceries so we can cook along with you? At one point, maybe, but I need more personnel to organize that. These streams are supposed to be, for me at least, like low energy, or not low energy, but I don't want to spend much time preparing the streams, because that would defeat the purpose of doing these streams, which is to connect with you without it costing me an entire day, like is the case whenever I do like YouTube commentary or TikTok. That takes a ton of time to prepare, whereas live stream is more off the cuff. So the cooking is also a bit off the cuff, improvised, but you can always cook it later, of course. And I never know if it's going to turn out well, so cooking along would be also risky. All right. Because I'm not a chef. Cooking for me is like building with Lego. I'm trying to build a meal, but I don't know how it's going to turn out. Okay, now we're going to do nice arches above the windows. That is very pretty. Oh. Yep. Very cool. It's all extremely fragile still, because it needs something on top of these ledge, or like a ledge, to keep everything in place, but I'm not there yet. We were trying to explain to my nephew they didn't know they'd even make Empire of the at the time, so that's why the revelation wasn't until later. True. Father, do you have in real life friends with similar nerdy interests as you? I barely have any. A few. They don't always live in the same area as I do. I'm very thankful that I have found a couple of friends that are into board games like me. But for instance, when it comes to video games, uh, Michiel, who is in the chat, uh, we met a few times, but Michiel is in the UK and I'm here, and yet with video games we're playing the same game. And with another nerdy hobby that I'm starting to really enjoy is RPG is Dungeons and Dragons, and so we formed actually two Dungeons and Dragons teams now on our Discord server. So for the patrons that support me, we have a Discord server where we have the community together, and so we've been organizing some sessions online, and that is also great help. I do know at least one other priest who's into Lego, but he's in Belgium. And then, of course, we've got our freshly ordained Portuguese deacon, transitional deacon. He recently got back into Lego right after his ordination. And then a few of my friends that I play board games with also are into Lego. So Bart and Veronique, they are also patrons. They too build Lego. There we go. Honestly, if none of their dads went search your feelings, you know it to be true. They failed them. When Michiel and Liz were visiting a few weeks ago, they introduced me to the wonders of melted camembert, which was incredibly good. So you take like a camembert, like a round cheese, you put some, you cut some, how do you say that? You make some cuts on the top of the cheese. You can put in some herbs, some garlic if you want, and then you put it in the oven. And then it starts to bubble up and to melt. And when it's completely melted, you can just dip bread in there. And it's like an instant cheese fondue, but with French cheese, which makes it 100% better than with the Swiss cheese. The Swiss cheese that they use for cheese fondue is usually a bit on the bitter side. And often they will even add white wine. Whereas I think with camembert, it was just perfect. It's not the healthiest meal, so I haven't made it after. After their visit, I never made it for myself. But it's just one of those delicious dishes that maybe after running half a marathon, I could afford to eat it. Because then you burn so many calories. Usually when I run a half marathon, I burn more than 1,000 calories. So that gives me some leeway with the food. Okay, we're finally starting to close the gaps here. That's good. Ah, I see what he did there. That is very smart. Wow. Very unconventional, but it does work. Ah. Very nice technique. Wow. I'm always amazed that people can just come up with these building techniques, and they have it in their head, and then they start building it. Like, how can you even conceive that? To me, it's inconceivable. Inconceivable. Is there supposed to be something there? Or not? No, I don't think so. Ah, okay. But I guess with some people, it's just how their brain is rigged. They can picture constructions like that in their head. I can't do that. I'm very much trial and error. Mostly error. And not much trial because I don't have much patience. So I'm always glad that someone else does all the genius stuff and I can just replicate it. I'm the great replicator. It's with cooking, same thing. I like to just replicate recipes. I don't feel the need to always invent the wheel myself because I know that some people are much better at this kind of stuff than I am. Now we're finally gonna make everything come together with these big end pieces. Once I put that on top, the whole ground level will be solid. Everything will be held in place by these. Let's see. It's going to be a little bit tricky to snap it all in place. Oh, actually. Wow, that's cool. All right. And these I have to slightly shift them in position. That's interesting. It will probably be made clear later on why this has to be slightly turned. For now, just going to do what the instruction says, even though it's a bit weird. Okay. And then same thing on this side. Place this here. Whoa, now it's super solid. Oh, that is so gratifying. And then we're almost done for today. Gonna add a few embellishments here. Two, three. One, two, and three. Very cool. All right. And then in the back, we're gonna make two columns, two pillars there to hold the wall together. That's number one. number 2. All right. There we go. I think that's about it. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, the rest is decoration. We'll do that some other time because I haven't prepared those steps. And it's like a different technique all of a sudden. So let me show you what I have. So this is the back, which looks very modular, very boring almost. But this side, this is where the fun begins. I'm going to zoom in with the camera and show you a bit close up. All right. How do I lower this? There we go. Right. Okay. I can't really turn the microphone, but I hope you can still hear me. So this is the... Can I turn that around? Hold on. Let me put this a bit like this. Yeah, you should be able to hear me better now. So here you see the side of the building with these windows that I bought. There's a bench here where people can sit. There's some material, gardener's material, I suppose, some flowers. And through these windows, later on, you'll be able to see the mannequins with the costumes. Now here we see the beginnings of the entrance with the 2 pillars. And then in the background, or inside the store, if I zoom on that, you see the knight. It's clearly the kind of the centerpiece. So when you enter the store, that's the first thing you see. There is a counter here. See the pumpkin? That is a desk. I guess it's where people can... It's like a bar almost. And then in the back, you see that blue door? That leads to nowhere. Because in the back there is like a piece you can remove from the back. And then if I turn this around a little bit more, it's always hard to show you, to focus. Let's see if I can. So here is a bit more decoration. All that, the interior of the store will still have to be decorated. And then here in the back, you can see the staircase. Oops, let's refocus. Here's the staircase that goes to the 2nd floor. And then here is the other side of the building, which looks really classy with the windows. These are also transparent windows. These are the open windows where there's no plastic there for some reason. Maybe it's just because the designer needed to use every single piece. And then there's a small garden here in front, as well as a small fountain. So this is supposed to be a small fountain. There are some plants and even a frog that's sitting there. And then you've got some flowers, and this is a little, I guess, an information plaque. And if I fly over it, you can see even more of the interior. So there is the knight in the center, the desk on the left, the blue door in the back, and then if you go all the way here, you see a clock and also a chest, like a treasure chest. And then here is the nice circular staircase that goes upstairs. And then, of course, whatever you will find upstairs, that's what we're going to build next time. So there you have it. Let me reposition everything. There we go. I don't know if this is... Yeah, I guess this is more or less how we started. I'm so glad with this microphone arm, by the way. It's super convenient to be able to move it around. So that's today's build. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll be back tomorrow with a Star Wars themed live stream, also on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. So make sure to stay subscribed for notifications. As I take a final look at the chat. Let's see. I've already seen those remarks. I gave a Lego set of an altar with the Eucharist and a priest to a child making his first communion. Yeah. I guess the kids love that. Yeah, that is like custom-made Lego. It's not an official set, of course, because Lego, the company, is notoriously agnostic. They don't want to do any religiously related set. It's policy. Am I familiar with The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini? I have it in my library. I've not read it yet. We've watched a lot of Turkish supernatural mythology in Southeast Asia. Have you seen The Gift? No, haven't seen that yet. Season 3 is when it starts to pick up even more. Just wait until the final season. I guess you're talking about Star Wars Rebels? That's good. Gets way better next season. Would you like to try and build the Lego Death Star? Not so much. It's very expensive, and I just don't think it looks very good. It's fun as a playset, but I don't know why it has such an iconic status among Lego and Star Wars fans, but I just think it looks like a play, how do you say that? Like a dollhouse a little bit. So I would gladly build like a full-fledged closed Death Star with panels that you can remove, etc. But if there's no outer wall, that's why I like building these houses, because it's like a full building and not just a play set. It's because most of my Lego is meant ultimately to be integrated into bigger city. And so, yeah, most of the sets that I bought in the past were closed, like entire buildings. A few exceptions. In the back here on my left, I've got the Privet Drive. That's an open set. On the back, it's open. Although I may actually finish the entire building by adding pieces. And then I've got, of course, the diorama sets with the Friends. Is that Friends? Yeah, Friends and The Office and Seinfeld. But those are meant to be film sets. that was never an entire building anyway. Some more tips about how to improve the Camembert recipe. There's a delightful D&D game hosted by it's called Crown of Candy. It's Game of Thrones set in Candyland. Oh, really? Oh, that's cool. Very nice. Okay, well, I'm glad everybody can do Legos. It's very ecumenical. That's absolutely true. I'm glad you like the close-ups. It's unfortunately something I cannot do while I'm live streaming yet, but towards the end I can show you a bit what it looks like. So hopefully that gives you a nice payoff. Um, all right. So have a wonderful rest of your evening, and we'll talk soon.